Turbo, the greatest racer ever! And I did not reprogram this world to let you and that Holocaust-riddled warthog take it away from me!
When analyzing the large gallery of Disney villains, Turbo from Wreck-It Ralph rises to the top as one of the most well-crafted, multi-dimensional antagonists ever to grace the screen. What sets Turbo apart isn't just his flamboyant alter ego, King Candy, but his relatable motivations and the clever way his villainy unravels, all of which make him a standout among Disney's pantheon of villains. In many ways, Turbo's journey reflects something deeply human, the fear of irrelevance. Once the beloved star of the game Turbo Time, he loses his spotlight when newer, more exciting games take the arcade by storm. His envy drives him to sabotage Road Blasters, an act of desperation that causes both games to be unplugged. Turbo's eventual return in Sugar Rush as King Candy is a testament to his relentless desire to cling to power and fame at any cost, making him a villain driven by survival, not just maliciousness. This central theme of a villain clinging to relevance is what makes Turbo's story so compelling. Disney has a long tradition of villains driven by personal desires, but few manage to embody such universal fears as effectively as Turbo. Consider Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. Like Turbo, Gaston thrives on adulation and societal approval. His obsession with Belle isn't just about love, it's about maintaining his ego. Gaston's villainy escalates when he feels his status threatened by the Beast, much like how Turbo's desperation grows as he faces his own obsolescence. However, while Gaston's motivations are built on pride, Turbo's motivations are born out of fear. A fear that resonates with anyone who's ever worried about losing their place in the world. What's particularly brilliant about Turbo is how the film carefully lays the groundwork for his reveal. His actions, while initially interpreted as protective or even heroic in his role as King Candy, take on a sinister edge when viewed in retrospect. From the moment he erases Vanellope's code to maintain his control over the game, to the manipulative way he convinces Ralph to destroy Vanellope's cart, we start to see the layers of his villainy unfold. Turbo's entire persona as King Candy, a cheerful ruler with hidden depths, mirrors his own internal conflict, the facade of being the beloved hero, hiding the true desperation underneath. King Candy's most heinous act was fooling an entire arcade for 15 years in the car he drove himself, all the while the protagonist of the game was seated on the side of the machine. Even if King Candy wasn't present, any player could have easily found a different arcade that possessed the machine, and a high probability of finding Vanellope playable there. To add insult to injury, Turbo's alias has nothing to do with the other racers' fancy candy-themed names. It's merely an additional detail that emphasizes this major lie. In the wedding flashback that foreshadows Turbo's transformation, Calhoun's husband is not only murdered by the bugs, but eaten as well, indicating that he turned into one. As a result, Calhoun felt obligated to murder her own spouse. I could not fathom the thought of witnessing a loved one transform into a monster you're taught to fight and kill, and then having to kill them either to ensure your own survival or to spare them the agony of this transformation. Naturally, this assumes without a doubt that humans aren't an outlier, and that the change into what they eat phenomenon is applicable to bugs in general, not just Turbo specifically. This subtlety contrasts with other Disney villains, such as Scar from The Lion King, who is unapologetically evil from the beginning. Scar's malevolence is driven by jealousy and a hunger for power, but there's no duality to his character. He craves control and uses deceit to achieve his goals, but unlike Turbo, Scar's motivations are far more straightforward. Scar manipulates and murders his way to the throne, but his villainy lacks the depth of Turbo's existential fear of being forgotten. In terms of narrative structure, Turbo's reveal is also more nuanced than that of Hans from Frozen. While Hans's betrayal comes as a twist, it feels sudden and out of place, lacking the careful build-up that makes a great villainous turn feel satisfying. Hans begins as a charming prince, and when he reveals his true colors, it feels more like a plot device than a well-earned twist. In contrast, Turbo's transformation from King Candy to the villain we see by the film's end feels earned. His manipulation and self-preservation instincts are consistent with his backstory, giving weight to his actions throughout the film. The twist works since the plot does not revolve about Candy becoming Turbo. If he wasn't Turbo, he'd still be a decent villain because his hatred for Vanellope makes logic and doesn't come out of nowhere. unlike Prince Hans, Don Bellwether, and Professor Callahan. It's incredible how effectively the writers handled this miracle of a twist villain. We need more twist villains whose motivations differ rather than their status as villains. Turbo is fantastic simply because he appears to be a funny man trying to be the best racer in a candy-themed game, but then you see he wants to be the best racer ever, and he'll hurt or kill anyone to get there. Hans from Frozen would be a great villain if we knew he desired power from the beginning. We assume he's a sleazy person, but then we learn that he is willing to kill to obtain what he wants. Another excellent comparison is Mother Gothel from Tangled. Like Turbo, Gothel hides her true nature behind a mask of false kindness. She kidnaps Rapunzel and keeps her locked away under the guise of protection, when in reality, she's using Rapunzel to maintain her youth and beauty. Gothel, much like Turbo, uses manipulation as her primary weapon, convincing Rapunzel that the outside world is too dangerous for her. However, where Turbo shines over Gothel is in his personal stakes. Gothel's motivations are primarily self-serving, rooted in vanity. Turbo's fear of being erased, of becoming obsolete, adds a deeper emotional layer that Gothel lacks. We can almost sympathize with Turbo's plight. His villainy feels like an inevitable outcome of his situation, whereas Gothel's feels more selfish. Turbo's manipulation of Ralph is another key factor in his effectiveness as a villain. He doesn't just confront his enemies head-on. Instead, he works behind the scenes, pulling the strings to ensure his survival. By convincing Ralph that Vanellope's racing would doom the game, Turbo plays on Ralph's insecurities and fears. This manipulation mirrors Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame, who similarly manipulates Quasimodo through fear. Frollo tells Quasimodo that the world will never accept him, that he must remain hidden away in the bell tower for his own protection. In both cases, the villain uses the protagonist's own doubts to control them, though Frollo's manipulations are driven by malice and prejudice, while Turbo's are motivated by his fear of becoming obsolete. What further elevates Turbo as a villain is the theme of identity that runs throughout Wreck-It Ralph. While Ralph is on a journey of self-discovery, trying to break free from his role as the bad guy, Turbo is doing the exact opposite. He's clinging to his old identity as a hero, refusing to let go of the past. This creates a powerful narrative foil between the two characters, where Ralph evolves and learns to accept himself for who he is. Turbo devolves, desperate to maintain his outdated glory, to the point where he's willing to destroy anyone who threatens his control. In this sense, Turbo's fall from grace is particularly tragic. His fear of being forgotten is something anyone can relate to, especially in a world that's constantly moving forward, leaving behind those who can't keep up. His actions, while villainous, stem from a place of vulnerability, making him one of Disney's more relatable antagonists. It's this complexity, this mix of fear and manipulation, that makes Turbo such an effective and memorable villain. He's not just evil for the sake of evil, he's fighting for his survival in a world that's outgrown him. In contrast, consider Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians, whose motivations are shallow in comparison. Cruella's sole desire is to make a fur coat from Dalmatian puppies. While her villainy is undeniable, it lacks the emotional depth of Turbo's plight. Cruella's obsession with fashion makes her a classic Disney villain, but there's no deeper psychological struggle driving her actions. She's simply evil because she enjoys being evil. Turbo, on the other hand, is a villain who reflects the fears and insecurities we all face. The fear of being left behind, of losing relevance in a fast-paced world. Turbo from Wreck-It Ralph is Disney's best villain because he embodies the complexities of fear, identity, and survival. Unlike many Disney antagonists who are driven by greed, jealousy, or vanity, Turbo's villainy is born out of a deeply human fear of being forgotten. His manipulations, his backstory, and his eventual downfall make him a villain we can both fear and sympathize with, setting him apart as one of the most well-crafted villains in Disney history. By exploring his dual identities as both a hero and a villain, Wreck-It Ralph not only creates a memorable antagonist, but also delivers a powerful commentary on what it means to be remembered in a world that's constantly changing. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and while you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this video and turn on post notifications so you get notified when another video is posted. Until next time.